Welcome to the Collective Genius Podcast, the show for real estate investors who are looking to scale.
Welcome back into the live Collective Genius Podcast. I just got caught trying to watch myself on live Facebook feed. How vain is that to start this pod? I was like, oh my gosh, I got to share this and I want to see it. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome in. We are live here in Sarasota. CG Select and Elevate event. I have one of my really, really good friends. I have the Collective Genius to thank for the relationship with this gentleman, Mr. Rhen Bartlett. Uncle Rhen, as my boys call him. Welcome in. It's the first time on the CG podcast, man. Long overdue.
Yeah.
Good to have you in.
Speaking of Uncle Rhen, short Uncle Rhen. Because his son is, what, 13, 14?
He just turned 14.
He's taller than I am now. It's kind of embarrassing. So,
that was fun. That was fun to see. Uncle Rhen is about the same height as his nephew Kai, who just turned 14. That was fun to see. That tells me that, you know, when you're a parent, you see your kids every day. You don't realize how tall they have become. But you obviously pointed that out to me yesterday. I'm guessing there's a few people upstairs that could call you Uncle Rhen as well.
Maybe.
Gold standards is the theme of the day today. And Rhen was asked to present a gold standard on acquisitions, the gold standard that he has for his business in Alabama. Rhen, you've been at this a long time, my friend. A lot of lessons learned.
Yeah.
I'm guessing the acquisitions presentation that you had today was from trials and tribulations of many years of doing the wrong things and adding and iterating, continuing to make this process better.
Yeah, there was definitely a sprinkle of some of that, but really, Leon, it come from the gold standard idea, come from a presentation that we seen right here with Mr. Jeff Hoffman back in 2022. If you remember that, it was probably one of the most impactful presentations that I've got to experience at CG. And man, there's been some good ones, but what Jeff talked about was his gold standard and how he built Priceline.com. And, you know, he is the maybe one and only billionaire that I've ever met and shook hands with. And his standards created $1 billion in value. And he really talked about how he treated his people the most. That's what impacted me the most. It wasn't our standards on, you know, the technology side of thing. It wasn't our standards on pricing. It was our standards on how the customer felt and how our employees felt. And man, when I first heard that concept, it was just so different than the standards that I had conceived or placed on our business at that time. You know, also shared that, like, I am far from perfect, and I shared our standards, and, you know, admittedly, many of them we don't hit often, but we wake up every day and we chase that gold standard. And I think if you can do that long enough, eventually you've got a shot at achieving greatness.
The common theme that I've seen from Candy, Eric, and now you, Jimmy's going to present on the sales side of the once you acquire a home, how are you selling it in today's market? He's going to present the gold standard here. Actually, probably is on stage right now doing that. The common theme that I'm seeing go through this is that gold standard of treating your people the right way. And the best way to treat your people is to make sure that you're giving them all the resources to be successful. Like, at the end of the day, they can't blame anyone other than themselves if they're not having success. That's a common theme throughout. Like, if I look at the differences between where people are in their business, generally those that have that understand at a high level that you need the proper systems in place. You need a repeatable process for profitability. Say that 3 times twice. 3 times fast. Yeah, you know what I meant. Exactly. Got caught up in all the P alliteration and got caught. And then they truly develop people through training. And that was the same for you. I think we talked about at our last CG meeting, we talked a lot about, you know, developing people. You grow people, you grow a business. And yours was, you know, daily huddle and weekly pipeline reviews and manager ride-alongs. These are all things that are your gold standard. And going back to the original question, my guess is you didn't start here. Where did you learn these things from? Because gold standards typically for all of us, is learned behavior.
Yeah, sure. No, definitely didn't start there. I think the exposure to CG, I'll give you a great example. I remember my first CG event. I think we started wholesaling in 2017. And Leon, the fees that we got then, we thought were incredible.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come to CG and I met Alex Pardo, and he told me the fee that he was getting on
In
average.
Miami.
And I thought to myself, oh boy, we got some work to do.
Yeah.
You know, and the fee that we achieve now, you know, on our flips and things like that, far more than what he shared with me. But that one conversation alone, from coming here and being exposed to people, and Alex, I thought he was kind of a celebrity back then because I'd listened to what was the name of his podcast? Flip Empire?
Yes.
If he still does it, maybe he
No,
still
he
does
actually he transitioned it to self-storage. He is all
Okay.
in on
Yeah.
self-storage. I was recently on that pod.
Yeah. And so, you know, coming here for the first time and meeting him, I was like, dude, I know everything there is to know about your podcast.
Yeah.
But he exposed to that standard. And then, you know, the next thing we know, we meet, you know, somebody like Damon and Doug, and hear about their standard on marketing and how they track. And then they introduce us to Damon and in the way that he runs his team, you know, and so it's the exposure to these people who are doing things at such a high level. And if you're smart, you just keep up in your standards.
Mm-hmm.
And
That was one of your titles on your slide, was what's your standard? What will you hold your people accountable to your business? What is your standard?
to what?
That's an open question, isn't
Yeah.
it? What's your standard for your people, for your business? Like, we're entering we're in a new year. I'm going to ask you what you're most excited about, but what are the baseline standards that you set for your continued growth and being coachable and working
Sure.
on your skills? There's a lot of things like that
Yeah.
are easy to answer, but if you had one, I guess, or two words to summarize what your standard as a business owner is, what is it?
I think it's to operate with kindness and excellence. It's very easy in real estate in general to be the shark, to smell the blood in the water. A lot of times people call you when they're in their biggest time of need. They're having to sell their number one asset because it's how they're going to generate money to solve a problem. And you have a choice in that moment. You have a choice in how you make them feel. You have a choice in how you approach the situation and how you handle it. You have a choice in your people seeing how you handle it. Mm-hmm. There's many times where we can make a lot more money doing what we do, and we choose not to because we have a standard to treat people fair and treat them with kindness. Every day when we in the huddle, it's go be a blessing today. And so the standard is get out there and be a blessing, do the right thing. As far as performance standards with reps, we have a minimum and then we have the gold standard, and we get up every day and we chase the gold standard. We don't hit it, but we do our best.
A couple I want to highlight here that we want to share with the audience that, you'll get all of this if you're in the room. And even if you're not in the room currently, if you end up joining the Collective Genius after the fact, every single presentation is recorded and available in our what I call Netflix for real estate investors, our vault. There are two that I wanted to focus on because I think this sometimes gets overlooked on the acquisition side. You make 100% of offers 100% of the time, right?
100% of the time. Yeah.
Did you always do that?
Absolutely not. No. I thought I did for some reason, and I talked about this on stage earlier. There's a young lady named Stephanie Betters in Premier. Mm-hmm. She's a
been
wizard.
on the pod?
Yeah. So you know her, founder of Left Main, Salesforce Wizard. I think probably over 50% of our members use her platform for their CRM. And we were having a conversation one day, and she goes, "What percentage of the time do you make offers when you go and see a seller?" I'm like, "All the time." She's like, "All the time? Put a number on it." I'm like, not 100, 95. She's like, "No." I'm like, "What do you mean, no? Don't tell me no." And she's like, "Go run this report." Dude, she's like, "I'm telling you no because I am more of an operations assassin than you are." No shame on you, Rhen, right? I'm a sales guy. She's an operations gal,
Sure.
right? It's probably pretty obvious if you know her. She's better at operations than me. And she goes, "I was very surprised and upset. I went and ran a report, and it was less than 50% of the appointments that we attend had offers in the CRM." And the thing is, man, if you don't make an offer, you can't buy a house, and you're not being who you say you're going to be on the other end of the phone because your marketing says call for an offer. The lead manager books an appointment for the acquisition manager to come out to give an offer, and then you don't give an offer. So it's not like you're not showing up as you say you're going to show up, and you don't even have a chance to buy the house. And so we ask ourselves, like, why would we not make an offer? Well, most of the time, it's poor training or poor accountability. That's what it comes down to. So we just bake in the standard. I don't care if they want $1 million and you have to offer $10, you make the offer. And we found that most of the time was the reason that an offer wasn't being made. We would be like, oh, this property isn't for us, because there was misaligned expectations. The seller's onset expectation was this number. We had to be way down here because of how we run our offers, the repairs, the actual value. And our people were just scared. They didn't want to hurt their feelings. They didn't want to be mean. They didn't want to be low ballers. Right. They didn't want to get cussed out or thrown out. But you'd be surprised.
Set the proper expectations, have the right training. I'm saying that not to judge, because I know that I have myself, 11 years ago when I started in this industry, would go to a house, and I remember I couldn't offer more than $5,000 for the house in the Midwest, And
they want 50. And you don't want to hurt their feelings.
I'm not going to sniff 50. I'm not going to sniff 10. So guilty of that. And I also know the power of it. I have seen the power of it for a lot of our members that have made that transition to making 100% offers 100% of the time. But one in particular, I've actually talked about on the pod before. We have had a member that from their first year in CG, little over 5 years ago, was grossing $3 million. Annual revenue of gross of $3 million. In the end of 2024, not the end of 25 because it's bigger now, the end of 24, one of the simplest changes that they made by learning in this group that they needed to make 100% of the offers 100% of the time, their revenue went from $3 million gross.
Doubled, didn't it?
$3 million net.
Oh.
From 2021 to the end of 24, wow. The biggest change that they made in their business was they made offers in the living room. Now, this doesn't obviously apply on the virtual side, but it still does apply that you need to make offers 100% of the time. But in the living room, they were making 100% of the offers in just from 2021, January 2021, December to 2024. $3 million net versus $3 million gross.
I think I know who you're talking to.
Yeah.
And I think it was their first meeting I was at the table. I won't take the credit for it. I'll just say I was at the table when they got their first CG slap. And from then to now, they're one of the most profitable operators in the group.
And they,
4 years? 5 years.
5 years, because it was 2021. So
5 years.
I look at operators that come into, let me rephrase that. I look at investors that come into these rooms, and most have sales down more than they have operations. That's a fair statement, right?
Yeah.
They have sales down. They understand how to market and close deals. That's their.
That's who we are. We're deal makers.
That's right. They know how to do that. They were actually the opposite, which is rare. They knew they were good operators.
Yeah.
But bad salespeople. And I am here to tell you
weirdos. Those are weirdos.
They are, but there's a place for all.
Yeah.
So if you're a great operator and you're looking for help with sales, we had gold standard on acquisitions today, gold standard on lead management. We're right now doing on the main stage here at CG Select and Elevate. We're doing a presentation on the sales side, on the other side of once you get something under contract, to maximize your splits. Obviously, there's something for everybody in this room. The last thing I want to address is because a lot of our people that I talk to that are wanting to become members, that are real estate investors, they're always wanting to know what's working for you right now. And sometimes these little things get overlooked. We gloss right over the expectations of appointments for acquisitions, because a lot of people come into this room and they go, here's what I'm doing. Is that good? They don't know what they don't know.
Yeah.
Your gold standard is for your acquisitions people, how many appointments a week?
10.
And how did you come to that conclusion for 10?
Well, I believe, let me see how to put this humbly. In my opinion, I'm the best in my company by far.
That's all, you don't have to be humble with that.
Sure.
Almost every single owner is the best.
10 is a lot for me, and I think I operate at a different level. right? Most owners do. That's why we are where we are. We're not employees. And I have some great guys, and I have guys that are better in sales than me. I have some guys that are better operations, but overall, running a book of business as a home buying specialist, I'm pretty elite, I would say. And if I run more than 10 appointments in a week, I do not have time to do my follow-up. And 40% of our deals come from follow-up. And so we feel as if your pipeline follow-up post-appointment is as equally as important as going and running the appointments. And where I see a lot of operators mess up is they fill too many appointments on their sales rep's calendar, which then only allows them for one and dones and kind of only layups that are easy, because you need a good 2 hours to run a good appointment. 2 hours. And so if you have 2 in a day, that's 4. That's technically half a 8-hour work day. We believe in working half days. What you do with the other 12 hours is your business. But most people work 8-hour days. And so just if you're on 2 appointments and you have an 8-hour day, you taking up half your day. And so you pack in 3 or 4, you have no time to go and do your follow-up.
Right.
And it's just so important.
Yeah.
And it can be overwhelming, right? Because you have there's so many things coming at you. And there's a lot more to be in acquisitions than just showing up to an appointment working. You have deals falling apart. You have people, that come at you. And so I just think that there's a good balance, and what we've found and what I've found is 2 appointments a day is pretty solid. And if you convert at your conversion metrics that you're supposed to, then you can make a darn good living doing this.
I mean, if you're converting at 30%, I think is the number that you said. So that's 30% of those are becoming contracts.
Yes.
So that's 3 a week.
3 a week.
I mean, it's a pretty good number, pretty good clip. And I can remember as an advertising salesperson, but also in acquisitions, when you have 4 in a day, and you get back to your phone in your car, and you got more missed voicemails from people that want to sell, and you got text messages from title, and you got all these things, it affects your next appointment.
100%. 100%.
And you need to be 100% ready to go and give everything you have to that next appointment. And so I wanted to focus on that, the 10 appointments a week, for that very reason, that, there's a lot of people listening to this going, man, I don't know if that's good. I don't know if that's bad. I think that's the max for most businesses, for an individual acquisition, if you want them doing it at the highest level.
Yeah. And that's a full book. I had a guy, unfortunately he's no longer with us, but he kind of told me, he's like, look, I think 5, 6 is my sweet spot. And I didn't disagree. Different people operate at different capacity, and you get to focus. You get to spend more time. Buying a house or selling a house is one of the largest financial transactions that a homeowner will ever incur. And I think I told him on stage earlier, I made this number up, but the average person buys a house twice or sells a house twice in their lifetime. Right? Sounds good.
It's not much more than 1 to 3.
Yeah,
in that range.
Think about the magnitude of that decision, and think about all the things that is running through their mind, because here's the one thing that I tell you probably wasn't running through their mind, unless they're just desperate, is you show up, work a deal, and them sign a piece of paper right there on the spot within 2 hours. They've just made the biggest financial decision of their life. And if you are trying to rush to your next appointment because you have 4 on the board that day, you're going to miss what could have been an opportunity to truly help somebody, and help yourself and help the company, and overall improve the community. Because what we do with these houses is we change neighborhoods. And if you're in a hurry, you miss opportunity.
Well, I think it's what you just gave there is so important for us to reflect on as real estate investors. Like, we buy houses to have a profitable business, but our current customer base are baby boomers. Baby boomers had a dream of home ownership. They also had a massive transfer of wealth, the largest in, I think, U.S. history. And a lot of their wealth is built in their real estate, because they bought that house in 1970, 72, 73.
For $55,000.
They bought that house, especially in our markets, right? They bought them for a very low number relative to today. At that time, it was a lot of money, because, interest rates were a lot higher, especially in the 80s.
Yeah.
And that's
16% rates, right? 14,
that's
16%.
In the 82, 83, That's their wealth. That's for retirement.
Yep.
And they're probably embarrassed if they're calling us because they've either gotten to a point where they've gotten in trouble or, they have to move it pretty quickly. These are decisions. These are life decisions for people that, it was their dream to buy a house.
Yeah.
And now
It's their legacy.
you've got
Everything.
to give them the time and the respect to
Yes.
their life. Because their house is their life.
Yeah.
All right.
I'll say one more thing to
Sure.
that before we move on. The biggest compliment that we get, I think more than anyone, because we are just adamant on calling and getting, post-closing reviews.
Mm-hmm.
The biggest differentiator for us is they say, you guys truly cared. And you can't care in 20 minutes. You can't care in 30 minutes. Or they won't believe. You may care, but they won't believe it. If you're
Sure.
in and out of that house in 20, 30 minutes, you don't win long term.
Yeah.
And you don't help.
Love that. You're doing a lot of great things in Alabama. What are you most excited about for your business in 2026?
Just, it's a great question, and you kind of gave me that question. You seeded it earlier, and I didn't come up with anything. But, man, I'm just excited to be alive. I think it's a wonderful time in my life. I have a beautiful wife. I have a new little 1-year-old, and I'm super excited to just build this business. It's the people inside the company, our teammates, to be able to provide them opportunity. The sellers that we get to go out and help and what we get to do in the communities every single day. And it's just extremely exciting for me. Who knows what's going to happen with the market,
Sure.
right?
Who cares?
Yeah, and who cares, right? Would I be excited if rates went down? Yeah. Would I be excited if they stay the same? Yeah. Will I be excited if they go up? Sure. Let's get it.
Yeah.
But I think what excites me most is the impact and the man that I'm becoming along the way, and that we're pretty locked in on being better there.
Well,
So,
super proud of the man that you are and the business that you've created. I will say this, that this man does care, not only about your market, your family, but also, since day one, we had Eric on earlier and Rhen. These two gentlemen have been just given the goods to our CG Select community. 5 years strong now. It's crazy to think what started with a group of 22 is now almost 200 real estate investors getting, access to people that have been in the business for a very long time. I always tell people the room matters. And a lot of people that when they're they are interviewing me when they're asking me about the collective genius and in the room and who's in it. We always have members that are at higher levels that we make sure that there's access at the lower levels. And I say lower level, these are still great business owners, but Rhen has been one of those people here at the select level. Elevate, we've got premier members in there. We've got premier members that are presenting all day on the main stage, and these gold standards, there's so much value in that room. Rhen, thank you so much for the value added today and being on the pod. Can't wait to have you on the long form. That's coming up here real soon. Be on the lookout for not only this pod, but also obviously we're going to do a long form. Rhen's got some value, additional value to give on a future pod. So I appreciate that. Thanks for being here today.
yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, everyone. Goodness gracious. You got to get in this room. We have a couple more presentations left here on day one in CG Select and Elevate in Sarasota. We've got a full day tomorrow and half a day on Wednesday. It is too late to get into the room for this meeting, but if you want to be at the next meeting in May, we'd love to have you. You can join before then, become a part of our weekly training calls that we do. All of that is accessible at explorecg.com. There you'll find everything you need to know about getting in this room. We have many more live CG podcasts coming up this week. We look forward to seeing you on the next live Collective Genius podcast.